Have you ever been stopped by someone who flat out refused to believe your actual age? Maybe they stammered, stared in disbelief, or accused you of lying when you told them the year you were born. At first glance, we tend to dismiss this as a superficial compliment, a lucky roll of the genetic dice, or the result of a meticulously strict skincare routine. But science and psychology tell a completely different story. Your physical appearance is not just a surface level phenomenon. It is a direct, visible reflection of your subconscious mind, your internal emotional landscape, and your deepest lifestyle choices. Time passes for everyone at the exact same chronological rate, yet physically, human bodies decay at wildly different speeds. This happens because your mind acts as the ultimate architect of your physical form. People who consistently defy the aging process, looking a decade or more younger than their birth certificate states, are not just lucky. They share a highly specific set of psychological traits and mental frameworks that actively shield their cells, skin, and posture from the brutal wear and tear of time. They possess an internal ecosystem that repels the heavy, hardening energy that typically forces people into premature old age. If you are someone who constantly gets mistaken for being much younger, or if you want to unlock the exact mental mechanisms that stall physical aging, pay close attention. We are going to dive deep into the 7 distinct psychological reasons why your mindset dictates your youth, breaking down exactly how your mental habits are keeping your body ageless. The connection between psychological resilience and physical biology is absolute. The mind controls the biological aging process far more than modern medicine traditionally emphasizes. Life does not spare anyone. It throws intense hardships, sudden betrayals, devastating financial collapses, and deeply painful personal losses at every single human being. However, when you observe individuals who seem completely untouched by time, you are looking at people who possess an unbreakable spirit. Average individuals often allow life's trauma to settle into their identity, carrying the weight of past storms as a permanent mental burden. This chronic state of emotional distress triggers a cascade of physiological damage. When you live in a state of perpetual worry, anxiety, or victimhood, your brain forces your body into a constant, low-grade survival mode. This survival state causes an overproduction of cortisol, the primary stress hormone. High cortisol levels are structurally destructive to the human body. It actively breaks down collagen, the vital protein responsible for skin elasticity, leading directly to premature wrinkles, sagging skin, and a dull, hollow complexion. Furthermore, chronic stress impairs cellular repair, meaning your body stops renewing itself effectively at night. People who look decades younger have learned the ultimate psychological art, mastering their emotions instead of letting their emotions master them. They experience the exact same pain and setbacks as everyone else, but they refuse to let the bruises remain permanent. They possess a deep-rooted resilience that prevents them from drowning in negativity. Because they process pain efficiently and return to a state of inner peace, their faces remain vibrant, their expressions stay light, and their bodies avoid the accelerated biological decay caused by emotional heavy lifting. Psychological rigidity is one of the fastest, most effective ways to accelerate physical aging. As the years pass, many people develop a deep-seated fear of the unknown, clinging desperately to old habits, outdated beliefs, and familiar routines. They resist cultural shifts, reject new technologies, and isolate themselves within a rigid comfort zone. This resistance to change creates massive, ongoing internal friction. When you fight against the natural flow of life, you experience constant frustration, anger, and alienation. This mental stubbornness quickly manifests in physical form. You can see it in the permanent frown lines of bitterness, the physical stiffness in the joints, and a heavy, unyielding demeanor that practically screams old age. People who maintain a shockingly youthful appearance into their 50s, 60s, and beyond approach life with a completely opposite philosophy. They actively embrace change. Instead of viewing the evolution of the world as a threat, they view it as an ongoing adventure. They refuse to let their age define what they can or cannot do, completely banishing phrases like "I'm too old for that" from their vocabulary. They are lifelong learners who eagerly adapt to new environments, master new skills, and willingly step outside their comfort zones. This psychological flexibility has profound neurological benefits. Constantly engaging with new experiences forces the brain to form new neural connections, maintaining high cognitive function and preventing mental stagnation. This lively, adaptable mindset projects a youthful, dynamic energy that completely overrides physical markers of aging. True youth does not begin with an expensive jar of anti-aging cream. It originates entirely within the spark of an active mind. The exact moment a person decides that they know enough, have seen enough, and no longer need to explore the world is the exact moment their body begins to rapidly decline. A dull, uninspired mind inevitably translates into a dull, worn-out physical appearance. You can see this lack of curiosity in a person's eyes. The spark is gone, replaced by a vacant, tired look that ages them far more than gray hair ever could. When the mind stops exploring, the body takes it as a biological cue to begin winding down. Highly curious individuals, however, treat the world as an endless classroom. No matter their chronological age, they retain a childlike sense of wonder and awe. They are the people who constantly ask deep questions, pick up entirely new hobbies, read widely, and challenge their own long-held assumptions. They see life not as a burden to be endured, but as a fascinating mystery to be uncovered. This relentless mental stimulation keeps the brain highly active, drastically reducing the risk of cognitive decline and keeping the nervous system vibrant. This mental fire directly influences their physical aura. Curious people have brighter eyes, highly animated facial expressions, and an overall presence that feels fresh and alive. They do not view life as something slipping away from them, but as something to keep discovering, and that mindset manifests as physical youth. Bottling up your emotions is a form of slow physical self-destruction. Throughout life, we experience a massive spectrum of feelings, from intense joy and love to deep sadness, anger, and frustration. Society often teaches us to suppress these emotions, to wear a stoic mask, and to pretend that everything is fine. But emotions are a form of energy, and when you refuse to express them, that energy does not disappear. It becomes trapped inside your physical body. Years of chronic emotional suppression build intense muscular tension, alter your breathing patterns, and force your body to absorb psychological poison, carving deep, heavy stress lines into your face and causing your posture to look permanently weighed down. People who look remarkably young for their age have a completely different relationship with their feelings. They practice total emotional freedom. They do not allow emotions to rot inside their psyche. When they are overwhelmed with joy, they laugh loudly and without inhibition. When they experience grief or heartbreak, they allow themselves to fully cry, process, and release the pain. They speak their truth and set firm boundaries rather than letting resentment simmer. This radical emotional honesty prevents the buildup of internal stress. By keeping their emotional channels clear, they maintain lower systemic cortisol levels, preserve their skin's natural elasticity, and prevent their muscles from locking into the rigid, hardened patterns typical of premature aging. Their faces remain soft, expressive, and inherently youthful. The human body does not exist in a vacuum. It is highly sensitive to the external environments and social circles we choose to inhabit. Energy is a very real, highly contagious force. If you spend your days surrounded by toxic, pessimistic individuals who do nothing but complain, criticize, and drain your vitality, your body will actively pay the price. Chronic exposure to negative energy triggers a low-level, continuous fight-or-flight response in your nervous system. Your muscles unconsciously tighten, your breathing becomes shallow, and your mind absorbs a heavy, dark worldview. Over time, this psychological exhaustion damages your immune system and accelerates cellular aging, leaving you looking tired and worn out. People who maintain an ageless, radiant glow understand that protecting their energy is a non-negotiable priority. They are highly selective about who they allow into their personal space. They actively seek out relationships with individuals who inspire them, lift their spirits, bring laughter into their lives, and encourage their growth. They walk away from drama and refuse to entertain chronic negativity. Clinical psychological studies confirm that positive, supportive social connections drastically lower systemic inflammation and slow down aging at a cellular level. Laughter and genuine human connection release endorphins and oxytocin, hormones that physically repair tissues and boost overall vitality. Your physical youthfulness is directly shaped by the emotional climate of the people you keep closest. There is a profound, unmistakable difference between a person who is simply going through the motions of existence and someone who is truly, deeply alive. When you look at someone who has given up on their dreams, their face often looks heavy, their posture slumps, and their overall energy feels completely drained. They are trapped in a monotonous cycle, waking up just to pass the time until they can go back to sleep. This state of emotional stagnation causes rapid physical decline. The human body is highly responsive to purpose. When your mind perceives that you have nowhere to go and nothing meaningful to achieve, it dials down its energy production. Cellular regeneration slows down, metabolism drops, and the physical body begins to reflect the internal void, resulting in a tired, aged, and entirely uninspired appearance. Conversely, individuals who live with intense passion and a clear sense of purpose seem to possess an electric, youthful vitality that completely defies their chronological age. They do not wake up dreading the day ahead. They rise with excitement, driven by a desire to create, build, learn, or contribute to something larger than themselves. This internal drive floods the brain with powerful neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin, the chemicals responsible for feelings of joy, motivation, and physical well-being. These hormones act as a natural internal fountain of youth, keeping your nervous system alert, your skin glowing, and your muscles toned. Science confirms that having a strong sense of purpose lowers chronic inflammation and significantly extends lifespan. When you are fueled by a passion that ignites your soul, your spirit remains completely untouched by the passing of the calendar years. One of the heaviest mental burdens a human being can carry is the weight of their own past. Millions of people walk through life physically deformed by things that happened years or even decades ago. They are completely consumed by old regrets, unresolved guilt, intense resentments, and bitter grudges against those who hurt them. Replaying past trauma over and over in your mind keeps the original painful event alive in your physical body. Your brain cannot distinguish between a current threat and a toxic memory, meaning that every time you dwell on past bitterness, your body floods your system with destructive stress hormones, degrading your health and accelerating physical aging. The ultimate secret shared by individuals who look effortlessly young is their profound capacity to let go. They have mastered the psychological arts of forgiveness and mindfulness. They understand that holding on to anger or regret does absolutely nothing to change the past, nor does it punish the people who wronged them. It only acts as a slow poison to their own mind and body. They make a conscious choice to leave the past behind and anchor themselves fully in the present moment. By releasing old emotional anchors, they literally lift a massive physical weight off their shoulders. Their nervous systems relax, their bodies repair themselves efficiently, and they maintain a light, free, and incredibly radiant physical presence that the passage of time simply cannot tarnish. When you add all of these pieces together, an undeniable truth emerges. Looking exceptionally younger than your chronological age is not a random genetic lottery, nor is it something you can truly buy from a plastic surgeon or a cosmetic counter. It is the direct physical crystallization of your inner world. Your face, your posture, and your daily energy serve as a loud, clear broadcast of your psychological habits, your emotional resilience, and the spiritual framework you use to navigate this world. If people look at you and see a youthful radiance, it is because you have done the deep internal work required to keep your spirit light, adaptable, and completely free from the hardening forces of negativity. If you do not look as young as you want to feel just yet, remember that your biology is highly dynamic. The moment you decide to alter your mindset, embrace change, unleash your curiosity, and aggressively protect your inner peace, your physical body will begin to respond to that shift. Today is the perfect opportunity to start shed the mental habits that are aging you prematurely. If you found this deep dive insightful and direct, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for more powerful psychological breakdowns, and share this video with someone who always gets mistaken for being younger. Now I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me the craziest age mistake someone has ever made about you. Stay powerful, stay youthful, and I will see you in the very next video.